So we've got legitimate fringe sport enthusiasm right now in the studio. Greg Cote has come in for reasons I don't understand with a Miami media pass for MLS.
Yeah.
Mike Ryan is very excited because Jorge Mas has swooped in and is a wonderful public order.
Greg Cote's been doing this show with us for years now. I have never seen him this excited before a show.
Yes,
and he's ready.
he is excited.
Yes.
He is, for some reason, he wore in proudly his MLS Miami media pass. I don't know why he did that.
Just
I'm
showing
proud,
off,
man.
Yeah, showing off credentials.
This
Yes.
is our day. You stop it with that fringe sport nonsense. I don't know if you've seen the studies, but it's already the fourth biggest sport in this country, and it's third biggest amongst young people.
Yeah.
So back off with your
No,
fringe
but
sport nonsense.
no.
Average MLS attendance is bigger than NBA or NHL.
Whoa. I'm not being anti. I was not meaning to be anti.
Yeah, you are. You said fringe sport, and this is our day, so back off.
What an insult to call it the global sport, the beautiful game of fringe sport.
Have you heard of a World Cup?
Beautiful game.
What I meant.
One that we're not in.
Excuse me. What I just meant, all I meant is, and I misspoke, and admittedly, I deserve all of this
You're fine
soccer
here.
zealot wrath. All I meant is fringe sports talk radio sport. That's what I meant, that we were starting conversationally in a place that we don't usually, which is in sports to the side of the normal sports radio topic.
Okay, that's fair. Put it on your own ignorance.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry to have offended you. I will try to never do it again.
Well, we're in MLS City now, so.
So tell me about why you're so enthusiastic, Cody, why you wore your credentials in here around your neck.
Beckham's put together a great team of owners. And I think he's going to just do a fantastic job with this franchise. They're going to build an academy to develop talent at the grassroots level in South Florida. They're going to the Beckham brand is going to attract all kind of 3 years from now, Messi's going to be playing for the Miami Lobos. I mean, it's going to be just a fantastic thing down here. Oh shoot! I let that out of the bag. I don't think they've announced it yet. Officially, there's no nickname. Wink, wink. You know where it's headed, though. Come on.
Glad you got that double O sound in there. You snuck it in. That was close.
Good job out of you.
But anyway, the Lobos are going to be a powerhouse down here in MLS. They really are.
Hold on a second.
And I'm excited.
Is that, yeah, well, you mentioned that you were excited, but then your enthusiasm immediately went very quickly after a couple sentences of excitement to you then naming the team the Lobos and then making it about you again.
Yeah,
Can you keep it to your soccer enthusiasm?
I could filibuster on why MLS is a booming sport in this country. Last year, the Atlanta team, which has been a phenomenon, had the highest attendance non-NFL of any American team sport. It's taken off all over the country. Attendance is booming.
Why does it work so well there? Just out of, do you know?
I mean, the thing is, you used to associate soccer hotbeds like Seattle and Portland and places like that. It's taking off all over the country, and it's going to be big in Miami.
Let me backtrack for just a second here. For those of you who don't know, Greg Cote started his career, loves soccer, started his career covering the Fort Lauderdale Strikers back when that's all we had in South Florida was the Fort Lauderdale Strikers and the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
And so his enthusiasm for MLS and soccer is genuine, but you keep offering me things that sound exciting and like hope. And please forgive my ignorance on this. Why did it take the Beckham Group so long to get this done if this is something that you are saying is worth enthusiasm on parallel with the NFL?
Yes. I want to make two comments. Chronologically. Number one, Miami had an MLS team that was based in Fort Lauderdale from 98 to 2001. Totally different ball game. Back then, they were playing in a high school football stadium. They had shaky ownership, and the league was in such fragile shape that Don Garber, the commissioner, said yesterday they were very close to folding as a league.
Forgive me, Greg.
Yeah.
Is the only time that soccer has ever worked in South Florida back when you were covering the Strikers? Is that the only time that soccer has actually worked as a business in South Florida?
I would say yes. It flourished.
So why is this different is what I'm asking you. Why has it failed every other time it's been here and you're more enthusiastic about this than you've ever been?
Because since we lost the Miami Fusion after the 2001 season, the league has taken off. They're expanding now. They're doing well all over the country. The ownership group that Beckham's put together is fantastic. It includes Jorge Mas, the local powerhouse family. It includes the CEO of Sprint. It includes a Japanese gentleman who's a telecommunications giant in that country. It's a solid ownership group, one that I wish the Marlins had, by the way. This is a Class A ownership group, and I just think the Beckham name is really magic in soccer. It's what helped MLS grow as a league. In the 5 years that Beckham played in MLS, and he came to this country in his prime, by the way. I think he was 27 when he came from Real Madrid. And in those 5 years, MLS boomed. They added 9 teams. They built 6 new stadiums, and the league really took off. So David Beckham is not only the impresario of MLS in Miami, but he's a huge reason why the league is what it is today and growing.
Hold on a second, because his enthusiasm is out of control.
It's crazy, man.
I mean, he's just yammering, and he is just talking. He's talked more in the first 3 minutes of the show than he did all of last week on the show.
Yeah, I'm going to take the rest of the day off.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it.
Check it out right after this segment.
I gave you
Might as well go
everything.
home.
Well, here's the thing that's off to the side, Mike. Again, he hasn't done it back in my day. Again, he just didn't feel like doing it.
Jeez, man.
No,
he's busy covering soccer.
Hello, thank you.
He just.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a
man.
second. We'll get to that in a second. I'm wondering put this on the poll, Guillermo. I would like the audience to decide. Is Dan right, or is the show right, to feel disrespected by Greg Cote continually not doing back in my day because he doesn't feel like it?
It's not about disrespect.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking the audience. You don't get to decide what disrespects us.
Yes.
Interesting.
You don't get to decide what disrespects us.
Okay, but I get to defend myself.
I mean, again with this, though.
If I'm an artist on a record label and they're wanting me to churn out a new hit single every week, I'm like, hey, for creative reasons, I have to take a break once in a while. I have to pause. I can't be a pack mule. You're a beast of burden. I can't be, adhering to what the man says at every corner.
You have 2 jobs every week. One is to get into that chair. The other is to do back in my day. You consistently fail to do half of your job.
I actually have a third job, which is my full-time job.
I'm talking about the job that you're paid for here. The one that's successful.
I look at back in my day as 2.5 minutes of my 4-hour appearance. So,
right. But the audience loves it, man. They've come to expect it every single Tuesday.
About this?
No, I think you're right.
Mike, am I wrong about this? People love Cote. They love Cote, and so they accept whatever idiosyncrasies he has. But I am not joking when I tell you that I feel disrespected. And I've told him this. I'm not saying anything to the audience now. I haven't told Cote to his face. I feel disrespected that the one job that he has that is popular, that is actually the one consistent segment of all that we can trust, that Greg Cote is going to bring it. It's the only one that he consistently just chooses not to do it as a flex move.
Well, the fact that you have voiced this to Greg Cote and he still...
That's the thing. It's becoming even more disrespectful.
That's just spitting in the face of your...
this is what I'm saying.
Your disrespectful
This is what I'm saying. So am I wrong to feel that way?
Yeah, you're wrong.
No, I mean, Greg, you know how much I love you, but I don't think he's wrong on this one. First off, the audience decides, but I don't think he's wrong.
I mean, Stu Gott sits there and it's a pain, man. Every week on Monday. Look, he gets him in late, and it's a nightmare to get him from him. But every Monday for years now, Stugatz never takes a break. Weekend Observations has become popular. It helps Stugatz. It helps the show. Everybody likes it. It makes people laugh.
Yep.
Boom. You have something that is the same thing that people like, and you continually sabotage what is the only consistently good thing that you do on the radio with us.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Because I like to think that the other 3 hours and 58 minutes that I'm on the air, that occasionally I might contribute something.
You do contribute.
Such as my soliloquy in favor of soccer against your tirade against the global sport.
Guillermo, put it on the poll.
You pretty good there.
Yeah, he did. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Was Dan having a tirade against the global sport? Because
Dan against the world.
Because all I said was that it's a fringe sports talk radio sport, regardless. in this country is what I should have said.
Well, that's what you corrected it to.
Right.
After you initially called it a
Correct.
fringe
My
sport.
error. My error.
People are all over the board on this. Some people are saying, Dan, you want quality or quantity, and then other people are saying very disrespectful. Greg is taking advantage of your friendship and your kindness.
I don't know. Stugatz, I'm telling you, I've had the conversation with Greg 4 times, and one of the first times, you'll love this, one of the first times I've had the conversation with him, I went out to the Keys to see Greg Cote. And he's like, how's everything at the office? And I'm like, everything's great. Everybody's working hard. But we had something funny happen this week that showed that there was a general entitlement in our workspace, a general entitlement that has also afflicted your son, who now works with us. And it's that LaShawn McCoy was downstairs having a drink, and we needed to get him up here as a guest. And then Stugatz eventually went down there and chased LaShawn McCoy, physically chased him down Ocean Drive, as Billy and Chris and Roy and Mike, pointed and laughed. And I'm like, okay, that's nice. It is funny, but why is Stugatz still acting? This was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Why is Stugatz still acting like the producer who's hustling, and the rest of you guys are pointing and laughing at him? Anyway, so I go and tell Greg that story. This is that. This is that same entitlement. It's the same thing.
Not at all.
It kind of is.
Yeah, not really.
I'm asking you to do a job every week. I'm telling you it's disrespectful that you don't, and you continue to just laugh in my face.
You have to give me some poetic license on this, some creative leeway. It's there's nothing worse, nothing feels worse to me than doing a back in my day that isn't very good, that people didn't like. And I'm trying to avoid that.
But this is what happened. This is what I'm saying. You didn't do it this week because your last one didn't get all of the applause that you wanted.
Correct.
So do it better.
Yeah.
Do your job better.
Right.
Quit quitting.
I strive, man. I'm climbing that mountain every day.
But you're not.
I just realized this. This is when it happened.
I'll start climbing again tomorrow.
I just realized.
Seems like you camped out somewhere.
You know what, Stugatz? We're going to need extra fake laughter for Greg Cody's Back in My Day.
Done.
No, I don't want fake.
No, we're going to, he'll keep doing it forever as long as he never stumbles. Last week's wasn't great, and so now he just bailed, and this is how it consistently happened.
He has ideas. He has a notepad in his phone with a bunch of ideas that we've gone over.
No, I figured it out.
Many of them aren't very good.
Chris, I figured it out. Your father's a weirdo. We know he's a weirdo, and that's what happened. His Vapes one was great. So, of course, he was there the next week with them because he got all the applause that he wanted.
Right.
But last week's didn't get enough applause, and you were distracted during it. I'm guessing that he took it as a disrespect that in the middle of it, you pointed to a TV screen.
Yeah. At the time, it felt like big news. LeBron was tweeting about Boogie Cousins.
6 stat line, bro.
Yes.
Wait a minute. No,
That news can't wait a minute and a half.
I've just gotten to the bottom of it. This is what it is. We didn't laugh enough or pay enough attention, so he took it away this week.
It was distracting, and I'll admit that.
Sorry.
I mean, out of the corner of my eye, I'm here looking at him pressing buttons and looking up there and talking, and it's distracting. I'm being very honest.
You know what? It wasn't.
So now it's on me.
Wait a minute.
No, I'm just being honest.
It wasn't a great one, and as I remember, he read it more poorly than he's ever read one.
2 or 3 times,
and it's because he was distracted by you.
That's correct.
Well, sorry. I'll try not to do it again. I'll try to fake my laughter.
I don't know.
We're
That's the
gonna
point. I don't want that.
We're going to have to guffaw. Mike, what's a penalty? Look, nothing's worked. Shaming him on air has not worked. What is a penalty that we can give him when he comes in here and doesn't do Back in My Day? Because how do we correct this behavior? Because he's going to just keep sitting there and not doing it.
Well, he's not going to pay a fine. We know that about Greg Cote.
Right.
He only cares about one thing and one thing only, and that's himself. And how do we take himself away from him?
Okay, let me do some quick math here. 4 times 60 is 240 divided by 2 minutes. Back in My Day is approximately 1/120th of my weekly appearance on this show. I think you might be over-obsessing about that a little bit instead of focusing on the 98% of the remainder.
How about you focus on the 98%?
Yes, but it's the best 2 minutes. That's like...
Yeah.
Yes.
That's eye of the beholder stuff.
So your eye of the beholder is that the other 98% that you give us is so magical that we should excuse. It can be. Is that right?
If allowed to blossom... like a field of flowers, I would do so.
Is that
We're not allowing you to grow? Is that
we're holding you back, are we?
I mean, I speak when given the podium. When I'm at the lectern, I speak. when I have no working microphone, I shout.
Your weird, swaggering sips of coffee, where you throw your head back and stop speaking because you feel like you've nailed the gymnastics dismount,
Right.
and you chug coffee into your face. Is that a victory dance for you? Like
It sort of is, yeah.
It's as good as I've ever seen you look. Like you look confident, you look healthy.
Yes.
You look merely 70 or 80 years old.
Yeah.
It's a totally different look. Dan is right, and then the cup goes back on the table.
Yeah,
I'm flying on caffeine, to be honest with you.
But you vigorously sip from the cup in a way that's very aggressive.
Is it aggressive? Really?
Triumphant.
It is triumphant. I don't know about aggressive.
Guillermo, what are your thoughts on Jorge Mas? Because old Cote over here is very excited about Blowhard Mas.
He's the one that got away. This character, Jorge Mas character. Oh, he'd be so much fun as an owner if he had the money to own the Marlins.
Which he didn't. Which he didn't.
What do you mean he didn't?
He didn't. He says he did, but he didn't.
What?
He says it. People in this town need to be doing some reporting on that one. Mas is saying whatever he wants now.
But thank God he's got the money to be a part owner. Just part enough to save soccer in Miami.
And to say things.
I love where you arrived, where you used to do the reporting, and now you're just telling other people, hey, someone might want to do the story.
Here's what I would tell you.
No, I like it. You're the CEO of the Herald.
Here's what I would tell you. I have a source who, says that Mas was put in front of Major League Baseball with the knighting of everyone with the Marlins, that Mas was the name that was being submitted. And then when they got to the crunching of the numbers, Mas didn't have what he said he had. Mm-hmm. And now he's saying things about how differently he would have done it in baseball. And he's saying things about how much he would have spent. But his plan wasn't that, according to documents I've seen.
Right.
And according to a source that I would trust on this.
Well, what he's saying is he would have had a payroll, I think, close to $100 million or something like that. But what people don't realize is that's also slashing the payroll.
Right. It was above $100 million.
Yeah,
right.
I think 115 was the number I saw.
I can tell you that the Miami Lobos have three main owners. One is from Bolivia. One is from Japan. MLS wanted a locally based ownership presence. That was the missing piece. That's what almost killed this Beckham dream back in November. That's part of what caused the 4-year delay, along with stadium site issues and lawsuits and stuff like that. So when Mas came in, whether he has as much money as everybody thinks or not, he's still a multimillionaire who's able to be a part owner.
Mas has got money. I'm not saying he doesn't have money. He doesn't have Major League Baseball money that was going to make that work.
Okay.
And this is why this has played out very well for Mas. It's played out perfectly. He couldn't do what he was talking about doing with the Marlins in a way that had the money that baseball would accept, according to these sources. So but he still looks publicly, because he can say anything he wants. Now he's like, I would have spent, it would have been great. And now he goes and settles for the Beckham Group. It costs him a lot less. Lord knows what his ownership stake is. Did they say that yesterday?
No, I'm not sure.
And then they put him in the face in front of everybody, and he loves that stuff. He loves the get me in front of the cameras and they will eat from my hands. And so
he was buying shots at Fado last night.
It's worked out perfectly.
Was he really?
Yeah, he took the Southern Legion. Beckham showed up.
Yeah.
It worked out so well for Mas. Perfect. It's like wrestling stuff, because baseball would not have gone well, and he wouldn't have been wanted that way there. But Latin gas bag owner in Miami,
he was screaming "Adelante!" And I was
"Adelante, Jorge!" That's right. He's just a magnificent leader of brown people.
Even knowing what you just said, I'd still want him to own the Marlins.
I know.
I want him to own all the teams down here.
I know.
Can he still do this?
I know. It's wonderful cartoon gas bag. Of course you want that owning all your teams.
Don Lebatard.
This is quintessential Stugotz. Hobnobbing with people in Utah. What's the most ambiguous general sentence I could give these Utah fans? I got it. If Rudy Gobert can stay healthy, you guys are on to something. And that's not the quintessential Stugotz part. This is 5 months later. Told you so.
Stugotz.
That is quintessential Stugotz, man. Just give him a sentence that doesn't mean anything and then make sure to keep tabs on it so 6 months later you can say you were right about something. Even though what you originally said wasn't right or wrong, it's just a sentence.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
Guillermo, so you ate up all the Jorge Mas stuff yesterday? You just ate it up?
Oh, my God. I mean, I'm so jealous. Like, I'm so jealous of soccer. They have competent owners, it would seem. Like, it seems great.
It does look like a great ownership group. It's a great looking ownership group. It's got Beckham standing in the middle of it.
Yes. Best looking owner in sports,
Beckham
right?
fought for this for a long time,
Yes,
man.
did. Right. He didn't give up. He could have taken 4 years ago. All he got was the rights to develop a franchise. Didn't have to be in.
They
Miami.
were very close to giving up, were
Yes.
they not?
Yes, they admitted that 60 days ago they had a dinner to essentially say goodbye,
And Mas stepped in?
and Moss saved the day.
Perfect.
Yep.
It's so perfect. Mas, I mean, you're the best, dude.
Guys, did you see the video where they welcomed MLS to Miami? I mean, Jay-Z, Tom Brady, Neymar, star after star, Jennifer Lopez, star after star.
No, Miami can do this right. Miami can do with soccer here and this what they did not and could not do with baseball.
And I know that you looked at Greg like he was crazy, or you thought he was joking when he said Messi was going to play for the Lobos.
Oh, no.
Messi put out a video and tweeted it out last night saying, call me in a couple
man,
of years.
Miami is begging for soccer to be the shiny thing, the famous thing with Beckham. Miami it's begging for that. We're always last in college basketball ratings, best in World Cup ratings.
Yep.
Like Miami actually would embrace soccer more than it would baseball if the soccer was legitimate. But it's got to be what a discerning Hispanic person can look at and say that's not crap.
Correct.
That's high end soccer I'm watching.
Yeah.
That's not late in his career Pele.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Scrubs. That's not Messi coming in late in his career. That's like, this is high-end soccer.
Why was it so difficult to get done then? I haven't followed the story at all. If indeed this is such a big soccer market and we're clamoring for this, why was it so difficult for this to get done?
The last reason was the lack of local ownership entity, which Moss solved. But
for a long time, it was land.
Right.
For a long time, it was where are they going to put the stadium?
Yeah, and keep in mind, 4 years ago, the announcement was at the Perez Art Museum, which is overlooking Biscayne Bay. You see cruise ships in the background. There's seaplanes gliding. It was idyllic, and Beckham wanted that stadium in the Port Everglades area. He envisioned people marching to the games over the causeway, and he wanted a waterfront stadium, and who can blame him for that? And he fought for that for a while, and that just wasn't happening. And so he settled for the Overtown district. And by the way, I thought it was very interesting. In yesterday's hour-long presentation, the word Overtown was not mentioned once. And as the mayor Jimenez explained, well, Overtown is part of Miami, but clearly Overtown is not.
Wait a minute, but why are you saying that? You're saying that because you feel like they were purposely scrubbing
Shying
Yes.
away.
the idea that their stadium is in a
That's correct.
historically black neighborhood.
That's what I think.
Okay, that's fairly.
We're Miami soccer team is what they were.
It might be a fairly obvious thing to say. You don't happen very often upon those kinds of observations.
I mean, I think it's clear to me. They don't love the area. I don't think Jorge Mas loves the area, and the Overtown site is not set in stone. That's what MLS has approved. That's where the stadium plans to be, but it's not certain yet. And if they can find a site they like better, they will move the team from Overtown.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened there. Like, they were talking to Mickey Arison and the Heat for a while, and that didn't work. They were talking with the Marlins for a while, trying to tie the TV deals into something, and that didn't work.
Well, that land specifically, where that little inlet is, where all these mega yachts dock, that was blown up because they were going to fill that area in. That was blown up by the residents there. In short, why this took so long? The Miami Marlins. Because this is a privately funded enterprise.
And nobody wanted to give, again, public companies private money. Mm-hmm. And so everybody was fighting Beckham because they had given it to the Marlins. This has a legitimate chance. I now understand Greg Cote's enthusiasm a little bit better. This has a legitimate chance to be one of those things if done correctly. High-end celebrity, pizzazz, Miami loves it. Brown Miami loves it. It's funky. It's fun. you can actually have sports heal a neighborhood that way.
Oh, yeah.
Like in that area of Overtown that's already very close to it, everything's changing because there's no more land on the beach. Right. There's very little land downtown, so people are now there's gentrifying going on. And
the gentrification's been going on there for a while. Yeah. This would just be the cherry on top.
And it happened with Wynwood. And it could happen with Overtown.
No, but this is something that could actually blow out Miami. And this could be something at the center of the international city. Like if done correctly, this is the right time to get in on this sport, because the thing I got to think about with South Florida is, though, you have so many reasons to be skeptical because it's failed so often, Greg.
But it's failed so often on lesser levels than what.
This is the grandest level.
By far.
But baseball, the thing that worries me is this. Baseball, the grandest level was the new ballpark. That's where everything was supposed to escalate from, including that neighborhood, which hasn't changed at all. Like, everything was supposed to escalate with the ballpark, and that was another one of these betrayals. Like, that ballpark has been a fantastical failure at everything other than just keeping Major League Baseball in Miami. It's the only thing the ballpark has achieved.
Right. And it's the same with Hard Rock Stadium in a way. I mean, Stephen Ross was talking about building all around the stadium and making a big shopping mecca and doing all kind of stuff with that. And today the stadium just sits still in the middle of nowhere surrounded by asphalt.
Will it get down to winning and losing like every team in this town? Like, are you saying that this
I think famous and fun is bigger than winning and losing.
And you think he could keep this famous and fun even while losing? You think he can keep it famous and fun?
No, if you're bringing high-end soccer in here with the opponent every time, yes. Like, if you continue to bring in high-end soccer.
Yeah.
MLS sort of turned a corner when they sort of went away from family-friendly. Not to say that it's not, but when they started gearing their product towards pub culture and, hey, this is a party. This is where you sing and get drunk, essentially.
And Miami's perfect for it.
It's a league that really appeals to millennials. They push the pregame party. They push a postgame event. It's really going to be a happening that I think is, I think the MLS Miami has a chance to immediately have the most passionately held fan base in the entire market.
It's interesting because Stugatz, like you mock soccer a lot, and it's very easy to say I've been hearing for so long that soccer is coming. Mm-hmm. But this period right now in 2018, because it's hooked on young people, because international soccer is something that young people care about, and this is as popular as soccer has actually ever been in our country, even though we're no good at it.
No, I understand that. If you're telling me it's working in cities like Atlanta, which is surprising to me, then it would make sense
young people love it.
Right, it would make sense for it to work here.
I'm so optimistic about MLS Miami right now that I can tell you they're building the stadium too small. They haven't broken ground yet. 27,000 seats is not enough for what they're doing.
And to your point about being a fringe sports radio topic, I get that. It doesn't work on sports radio. The hosts are older, and the people that listen to sports talk radio are older. The soccer fans listening to a podcast to get their soccer news. Mm-hmm. They don't need you.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I understand Cody's enthusiasm now as someone. I mean, he's cared about soccer for a long time, but he cares about this city as well. And so, you at the highest ends of hope, this soccer team can be what we've been trying to make this baseball team in this town
for a
long time.
Yeah.
But I just think that's a startling thing to say to people. I think the people listening right now, listening on sports radio, just have seen so many failures, Greg, that they might not understand how big this thing could actually be if it's done correctly by these owners that started with a strong splash.
That's the big thing, because that's how baseball failed. Like, you get one shot, and you got to do it right, because if you take missteps, it's a fickle town that won't, come back.
Yeah, I think they've got the right formula. I really do. I'm just so optimistic about what they're doing. It was funny at the thing yesterday. Mike mentioned the video where all these famous celebrities and everything are welcoming Miami to MLS. The only one who got booed was Tom Brady, which I thought was pretty funny.
You're trying to get a job here, aren't you? Let's just cut right through it, right? You're trying. Like, it seems like you're angling for some sort of position with the new Miami soccer team.
Find out next.
Don Le Batard.
My mom, first visit, worried about her son, comes in the Worcester, which is the armpit of America. And within 5 minutes, a SWAT team rolls up. We think it's for my house. It's for the house next door. It's a crack house, and my mom wanted to bring me home.
A what team?
SWAT team. Is that what you call it? SWAT team? I don't know.
Stugats.
They had big guns.
Wait a minute. Wait.
And a lot of armor.
You think that the team that storms into your house and knocks over the door wearing uniforms as law enforcement, you have thought all your life that that's a squat team?
They squatted.
People in the house.
The people in the house were squatting.
No, they came in with like guns blazing and they had their armor on and they all like got in the shooting position and they were squatting.
This is the Dan Levatar show with the Stugats on the ticket.
There are so many people in our audience startled by Greg Cote's information and his enthusiasm. Stu Gatz, the last segment, accused Greg Cote of angling for a late career change job where he's working for the successful Miami soccer franchise.
Yep. I'm sensing that's really, I think you seek and you sense opportunity here with a sport that you love, that you're passionate about. Like, I could see you being like the in-stadium voice, like the announcer.
Career rejuvenation back from your days when you prowled over a high school dugout as the voice, the stadium voice.
Yes. I am an experienced broadcaster. You wouldn't know it on Tuesdays.
Speaking of which, hold on a second. We've got Eric and Tony last night. Let's get to that real quick.
Oh boy,
this is magical. This is
the final days.
I mean, you can do that if you want. I think we should be celebrating this partnership, this long legacy that these two guys have had calling Heat games, man. We have allowed them to age gracefully.
Honestly, this is one of their trademarks, what we're about to play. This is what Thunder was to Dr. Jack Ramsey. This is the Tony Fiorentino.
I know, and I love it, okay? And I do want to be careful about the part, right? I do want to be careful about the part of making fun of Fiorentino when he has had a long and distinguished career in this market. But one of the reasons I love that broadcast team, and I think you love that broadcast team, is because there are very human moments in there where you recognize that Fiorentino isn't the most polished. And it's part of the charm. I don't go to listen to their broadcast to hear Fiorentino tell me inevitably at the end of every game how many timeouts there are. How many timeouts? Because he's being he's great at it.
Best.
I mean, but he's an assistant. He was an assistant coach, so he was probably in charge of the timeouts, from what I can tell.
So you go for the charm, for the interaction, for the relationship?
What I go for is...
I go for the tension.
But that's what I'm saying. The tension is the charm.
Tony, the Clippers was just a game out of the playoff race behind Denver in the West. They're obviously looking at a major rebuild, losing Chris Paul and now trading Blake Griffin. And it's clear Stan Van Gundy feels that's a deal that could get his team into the playoffs, but they gave up a lot.
They did. And guess who plays at Detroit tomorrow night?
Cleveland.
The Clippers.
No, Cleveland plays. 9.5 minutes left here in the third quarter. It's a 9-point.
Eric has learned to just keep it moving. I'm probably right. He's probably wrong. Let's keep it moving.
Oh, my.
The laugh afterwards.
Hold on a second.
Like he had it. Right. Clippers.
Not only that he had it, but Eric tossed it to him, and then Eric tossed it to him with where the color analyst should go, which is, let's talk about this Blake Griffin trade, break it down. Instead, what Tony gives him is nothing in the way of trade analysis, and instead just things that are factually wrong.
And guess who plays at Detroit tomorrow night?
Cleveland.
The Clippers.
No, Cleveland plays. 9.5 minutes left here.
Screeching halt on that conversation.
Hold on. I want the whole thing again. Give me the whole thing, and this is how I want you to analyze it. I am not a polished broadcaster. I have never pretended to be a polished broadcaster. However, I recognized something in the middle of this.
Us?
Eric Reed just tossed softly to Tony Fiorentino. Softly. Here, coach, do some trade analysis. I want to hear the whole thing so you can hear the question that Eric Reed asked him. Listen to how quickly Fiorentino batted it aside to get to his wrong fact about where the Clippers are playing tomorrow night.
Tony, the Clippers was just a game out of the playoff race behind Denver in the West. They're obviously looking at a major rebuild, losing Chris Paul and now trading Blake Griffin. And it's clear Stan Van Gundy feels that's a deal that could get his team into the playoffs, but they gave up a lot.
They did. And guess who plays at Detroit tomorrow night?
Cleveland.
The Clippers.
No, Cleveland. 9.5 minutes left here in the third quarter.
No, he's trying to help him. He said, Cleveland, back away, coach. I'm already giggling, Eric. I can't help it. I got to say Clippers.
It was a very quick interaction in Tony's defense. It was hard to pivot from where he was going to go.
Eric knew where that was going. He was so quick with Cleveland.
I mean, trying to bail him out.
How about Eric Reed? Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Not even the encyclopedic knowledge of the NBA schedule that Eric Reed clearly has in his head, because he knew where the Clippers were playing, which is amazing. Why does Eric Reed have at the tip of his tongue and the top of his head the Clippers schedule?
He probably knew the Cavs schedule.
Yeah, the Cavs schedule,
Regardless,
not the Clippers. Right.
Regardless.
That's a fun.
Regardless, not even that could save Tony Fiorentino from being Tony Fiorentino.
And guess who plays at Detroit tomorrow night?
Cleveland.
The Clippers.
No, Cleveland.
Wait, Mike, hold on. The part I want to hear again, just one more time, is for how long Fiorentino lingers with the laugh. I want you to.
It's the best part of it.
But I want you to listen closely to Fiorentino still laughing long after Eric Reed wasn't having any of it with Cleveland.
And guess who plays at Detroit tomorrow night?
Cleveland.
The Clippers.
No, Cleveland.
Cleveland.
9.5 minutes left.
A little laughter on the front end because he thought he had something special, and a little laughter on the back end.
I just caught Tony's. No? I learned something new every time.
It is their marital relationship.
Now, during the commercial break, do you imagine that there's a little convo about that?
No, it's like the conversations with you about disrespect. You're going to keep doing whatever you do. It doesn't matter what I say.
But do you think Tony apologizes afterwards? I got the break to Eric.
No, it's just Eric, this is the deal. You're just stuck with me.
Do you guys feel any guilt about ending this man's career?
Oh, stop it.
We didn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. Probably didn't help matters.
You're going to miss him when he's gone next year.
Of course I am.
Someone giving you the right schedule.
See, but I don't.
No, I will miss it.
This is a blast.
I'll miss their relationship.
Guillermo,
I will, yes.
Guillermo, there is nothing in the way that Fiorentino and Eric Reed could do their job, even if they were Bob Costas and whoever you think is the most magical color man in the history of sports, than the way that they do it, which is intimate and familiar and has all of this stuff in it and makes me laugh more than any other broadcast that I listen to. Now, I know that I understand why the Heat wouldn't want you laughing that way.
I don't think they're going for laughter.
I know. I wish they were. It'd be even better. But I'm just talking about the specifics of that. Like, if they did their job well, they wouldn't give me as much joy as they're doing their job there. And people make mistakes, man. Look, our show is not in any position to make fun of anybody else's mistakes.
I know.
And guess who plays at Detroit tomorrow night?
Cleveland.
The Clippers.
No, Cleveland.
How about this, Stugotz? Here's one of the many ways that I am incapable of making fun of how anyone else runs their business or runs their career. My brother and I have been working on this project, trying on March 10th, we're going to have a fun Le Batard Brothers event with some music. It's going to be a Blackbird Ordinary. There's a press release that was sent out yesterday.
Nice.
But we couldn't figure out how to get the website working.
Okay.
To accept, we wanted to price it really low so it would be accessible to everybody and allow the first 100 tickets just to see how quickly they sold, because it's a cool event. You'll see. But I'm not in the position to be making fun of how many mistakes anyone else makes during a broadcast, given that you and me have to be leading all of sports media entertainment in making daily mistakes.
No question. Yes. As a combination, yes. We made more mistakes than anyone in the history of radio.
Right. And so like, to end their career, I mean, I would have preferred that they embrace their fun and silliness and their mistakes instead of it being cold. But if it's going to be cold, that's entertaining.
And guess who plays at Detroit tomorrow night?
Cleveland.
The Clippers.
Cleveland plays.
All right. So anyways, LebatardBrothers.com is where you go. Can we see if this website is working? Can we see if because I think it is. I've been assured.
It was yesterday. I
have been assured that the website is now up and running and it will accept your money. And I'm assuming these are going to go quickly because they're reasonably priced and it's a cool event. And, I'm hoping that Pat Riley and Mickey Harrison and Udonis Haslam will be there. It's like a Miami event with music and stuff. It's going to be a domino tournament with my father. So LebatardBrothers.com. See if it works.
It is working, and the ticket link is officially working.
Okay, so there it is. LebatardBrothers.com.
Do I have to buy tickets?